What a song that was.
Probably a few sleepy eyes waking up this morning. It is 5 a.m. here on the East Coast, and you are watching Fox and Friends First on this Thursday. Good morning to you. I'm Heather Childers. Good morning, I'm Abby Hess. So thanks for starting your Thursday with us, and this is where we begin. Mexico's president now doubling down overnight, repeating his country will not pay for that wall. The hit coming just hours after President Trump unveiled a aggressive plan to take back our borders. Garrett Tenney is live for us at our nation's capital with new information about his planned trip to Washington, D.C. Garrett, where do things stand after this morning? Good morning.
Well, good morning, Heather and Abby. And that's the big question now. And complicating that decision is the timing of President Trump's announcement. Yesterday, during a visit to the Department of Homeland Security, Mr. Trump announced he had signed executive orders to strengthen our borders and immigration, the biggest part of which includes the fulfillment of his key campaign promise to build a giant, beautiful wall along the U.S.-Mexico border. His executive actions also targeted federal funding for sanctuary cities, increased the number of Border Patrol agents, and orders the construction of new immigration detention centers. On the same day that President Trump announced his plans, though, Mexico's foreign relations and economic secretaries arrived in Washington ahead of its president's visit later this month. That was seen as a slap in the face to many in Mexico, and now President Enrique Peña Nieto is said to be reconsidering the trip altogether. Yesterday, in a nationally televised address, he said, "I am saddened and am against the decision by the United States to continue with the construction of a wall that for years, far from joining us, has divided us. Mexico does not believe in walls. I've said time and again, Mexico will not pay for any wall." But in an interview with ABC, Mr. Trump held firm that one way or another, Mexico will pay for it.
David, I think he has to say that. He has to say that. But I'm just telling you, there will be a payment. It will be in a form, perhaps a complicated form. And you have to understand, what I'm doing is good for the United States. It's also going to be good for Mexico. We want to have a very stable, very solid Mexico.
President Peña Nieto says he will now wait until his team returns to Mexico to decide whether or not he'll make his trip to the U.S. that was scheduled for the end of this month. Heather, Nat.
All right. Thank you so much, Garrett. Thank you, Garrett. And that is not all. Sanctuary cities now defying President Trump, promising to protect illegal immigrants. And Democrats once again hitting the streets to protest. Jackie Ibanez here with the latest on the nationwide outrage over the president enforcing the law. Good morning, ladies. Liberals across the country digging in against President Trump's latest executive orders, focusing on deporting illegal immigrants, especially those who are criminals. The president standing up for American families and the victims of those illegal immigrants.
As your president, I have no higher duty than to protect the lives of the American people. For these families, it's been one injustice after another. But that all turns around beginning today.
From San Francisco to New York, thousands rallying to defy President Trump's promises, refusing to give up their sanctuary status.
This is a city of immigrants. We always have been for almost 400 years. This is our fundamental nature. We're going to defend all of our people, regardless of where they come from, and regardless of their documentation status.
And of the hundreds of sanctuary cities, just the top 10, including New York, San Francisco, and Chicago, are at risk of losing 2.27.
Next at 5, in trouble with the law again. Shia LaBeouf arrested in Long Island City. We're going to tell you what he did at an art exhibit protesting President Trump.
Plus, Wilbur, the state senator, gets behind an effort to save a family's pet therapy pig. I'm Corey Chambers.
And I'm Tam Savadell. Plus, drugs at the fast food drive-thru. We'll see you at 5 o'clock with all of it.
Oh,
And those actions right there drawing applause from the community watching it all go down. Heather, Abby, back to you. All right, Jackie, live for us this morning. Jackie, thank you. Thank you, Jackie. President Trump facing some criticism for signing so many executive orders his first days in office, but Jonah Goldberg from the National Review now slamming the left for their hypocrisy. Take a listen.
The interesting or the sort of ridiculous thing that we're hearing a lot today is that somehow conservatives or Republicans are
20,000. Cheryl Casoni from our sister network, Fox Business, here with what we can expect today. So opening at 20,000, that's a record. Oh, it's amazing, Heather. And I want to apologize now. I didn't bring confetti or balloons. I should have. But I have to tell you, we finally hit that Dow 20,000 after weeks of near misses and close calls. The Dow closed the traded day at 20,068.51. You can see it there. The March higher beginning after the surprise victory of Donald Trump as president on November 8th. That's actually the second fastest 1,000-point run we've had in U.S. market history from November 22nd to January 26th, 64 days after crossing the 19,000 mark. Here is where we sit. One of the holdups to hitting 20,000 was investors waiting for some real evidence from President Trump that he planned to follow through on the issues that matter to them, which is lower taxes for individuals and corporations, plus less regulation on companies and industries that many believe holds business back. Now, in an interview with ABC's David Muir, the president kind of took a victory lap.
The Dow, on top of it, just hit 20,000. First time in history. I'm very proud of that. Now, you have to go up, up, up. We don't want it to say that. It's gone up a lot since
Right now, bomb-making materials found in Brooklyn. While you might recognize the suspect and what he told police. Another child failed by the system. A Brooklyn mother charged with killing her 4-year-old son. What did the city know?
Radar shows some unstable air moving in our direction, and the map is trying to show colder air.
And passed out at a gas station with 2 kids in the back seat. What's going on?
This is the Pix 11 News at 5 with Tamsin Fidel and Corey Chambers.
First at 5, a horrifying situation out of Brooklyn. Tonight, a mother is behind bars accused of killing her 4-year-old son.
Yeah, authorities say Zara Combs, 26 years old, admitted to fatally beating the boy with a stick and then leaving the child inside of a plastic bin that was filled with water. This is just such a difficult story to talk about tonight. Thanks for being with us for the Pix 11 News at 5. I'm Tamsin Fidel.
And I'm Corey Chambers. I think we always ask ourselves, how can things like this even happen? Well, tonight a close relative is telling us that the family had a history with Children's Services, but nothing was ever done.
Yeah, well, today the agency removed 2 other children from that home. Pix 11's Dan Manarino has been on the story all day long, joining us live in Brownsville tonight with more. Hi there, Dan.
Right now, police are executing a search warrant inside of that house, gathering evidence. And I just can't believe we're out here once again talking about this kind of case. A 4-year-old child beaten at the hands of his alleged mother. This is, we learn new information today about failures at Administration for Children's Services that are widespread. 26-year-old Zara Combs had little to no reaction today on the way to her arraignment, arrested on a slew of charges, including the murder of her 4-year-old son, Zamer Combs, inside their Brownsville, Brooklyn home Wednesday night.
They was, like I said, pumping his chest, and he was, like, unresponsive, no life.
Michael Thomas is the boy's uncle, who says his sister wove quite a tale as to what exactly happened leading up to the discovery of the unconscious boy, who was found in a Rubbermaid-style storage bin filled with water around 9 p.m. Wednesday night.
The version of her story that we got, was that the child slipped in the bathroom, hit his head on the toilet, then hit the floor.
Little Zamer was rushed to a hospital where he later died. Zara and her boyfriend Jamar Richardson were taken in for questioning, where police sources say the mother then confessed to beating her son with a stick, the suspect's own brother not holding back.
She should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
Today, crime scene detectives entered the home with search warrants as Jamar was once again questioned outside, showing police various entrances to their basement apartment, while 2 caseworkers from Children's Services arrived and later removed 2 more of Zara's children from the home. After yet again, family members say ACS was called numerous times to this location in the past. This all happening the same day that the Department of Investigation issued a scathing report into the investigation of 3-year-old Jaden Jordan, who was found beaten to death after ACS twice went to the wrong address. The report citing that ACS workers had the proper databases to locate Jordan's correct address. It also cites systemic problems with elite units and inadequate training.
I can pick up a paper and see a case with ACS, and it's like nobody's doing their job.
Now, Children's Services did get back to us today saying they are implementing and following the Department of Investigation's guidelines as to what came out in that Jaden Jordan case, disciplining staff members, but stopping short of actually letting them go. In this case, Zama Coombs, they are saying that they will not comment if they've actually been here in the past, only replying to us saying they are saddened by the result. We are live tonight in Brownsville, Brooklyn. I'm Dan Manarino, Pix 11 News.
Certainly more to come. Dan, thank you so much. Well, we have news tonight out of Washington where it was reported the State Department's entire senior management team resigned. The Washington Post saying the resignations happened yesterday, but today senior officials say the Trump administration, in an effort to clean house, they were fired. Under Secretary Patrick Kennedy and 3 of his top officials were sent letters by the White House, according to CNN. This happened as Rex Tillerson, President Trump's nominee for Secretary of State, was in meetings.
Also out tonight is the chief of the U.S. Border Patrol. It comes a day after President Trump signed the order to start building the wall along the Mexico border. Mark Morgan is out after only 7 months on the job leading the agency. At this point, it's not clear if Morgan resigned or was fired. Yesterday, President Trump announced plans to build that wall and hire 5,000 additional Border Patrol agents.
Well, breaking news right now, the Trump administration is now explaining how it will make Mexico pay for the border wall. The White House saying it'll slap a massive 20% tax on imports from Mexico, meaning a company that makes products in Mexico would have to pay 20% more to ship them to America. It also, though, means that the price of Mexican-made products could skyrocket and American consumers would end up paying more in the end. The White House press secretary declined to comment on that part of the issue. Well, President Trump did spend much of today in Philadelphia attending the GOP congressional retreat. His presence in the city of brotherly love, though, did draw some massive protests out there.
Yeah, we've seen the protests almost every single day in the 6 days that he's been in office. But what might be overshadowing all of it is today's announcement by Mexico's president that he's canceling a meeting with President Trump for next Tuesday. Pix 7's Shirley Chan joins us live from outside Trump Tower in Midtown with more on all of that. Shirley.
Yeah, good evening. Republican leaders are meeting in the nation's original capital, Philadelphia, and they are hoping that this 3-day strategy session will bring unity to the ranks. But of course, dominating the headlines is ongoing talk about that border wall, and those talks are intensifying. It is getting ugly. His first week in the White House involves a trip to Philadelphia. President Donald Trump arriving at the annual GOP retreat. Addressing the Republican leadership, he spoke for about 25 minutes, going through a range of issues, including repeating some campaign promises.
I mean, the immediate removal of criminal aliens. They're going to be gone fast. And finally, at long last, cracking down on sanctuary cities.
But casting a cloud over events in Philly, a spat over that proposed wall 2,000 miles away. Mexican President Enrique Peña Nieto canceling a scheduled meeting with Mr. Trump next week. Then the president tweeting, the U.S. has a $60 billion trade deficit with Mexico. It has been a one-sided deal from the beginning of NAFTA with massive numbers of jobs and companies lost. If Mexico is unwilling to pay for the badly needed wall, then it would be better to cancel the upcoming meeting. Later, he doubled down on making Mexico fund it.
Unless Mexico is going to treat the United States fairly, with respect, such a meeting would be fruitless, and I want to go a different route.
GOP leaders have estimated the cost for constructing the wall at between $12 to $15 billion. The president's arrival in Philadelphia has been met with protesters, many angry over Trump's plan to get rid of the Affordable Care Act.
We will have an ambitious legislative agenda as well. Our legislative work starts with repealing and replacing Obamacare and saving families from the catastrophic rise in premiums.
And in the topic that doesn't seem to go away, President Trump told GOP leaders that he plans on keeping the ballot boxes safe from illegal voting. Of course, that is a follow-up to his claim that 3 to 5 million people voted illegally in the election, costing him the popular vote. Now, that claim has so far been unsubstantiated. But live outside Trump Tower in Midtown, Shirley Chan, Pix 11 News.
And we continue to follow it. Shirley, thank you. Well, earlier today, local lawmakers were calling out President Trump's immigration plans. Take a listen. All right, Bronx Borough President Ruben Diaz Jr. and other lawmakers met in front of the Bronx County Courthouse. They are speaking out against the president's newly announced executive orders on immigration, including his proposal to build a wall along the Mexican border. Well, they also oppose his threat to revoke funding for sanctuary cities like here in New York.
The immigrant population in our borough has made us a whole lot better. If nothing else, let the words of this president unite us instead of divide us.
All right, this comes after last night's huge rally in Washington Square Park that we brought you right after Trump announced the executive order.
The money he will take away will actually be from police departments trying to stop terror and trying to stop crime.
All right, you just heard him say it. Mayor de Blasio on CNN's New Day this morning, responding to President Trump's executive order to block federal funding from going to sanctuary cities. He says the city would use the courts to try and fight the president every step of the way.
Yeah, so how does the president's proposal to withhold federal funding actually affect you? Well, if you rely on police, send your children to public school, or rely on the city's hospitals, then you need to listen to this. James Ford is taking a closer look at how deeply the cuts would hit home. He's live in Midtown tonight with more on this. James.
And look, on every sidewalk, street, neighborhood, community, borough of this sanctuary city, everybody ends up being affected by these proposed cuts by President Trump. But some people would end up being more strongly affected than others. Who they are may come as something of a surprise to you. Police, schools, hospitals in the city all rely on federal funds, a lot of funds, $7 billion worth. To put it another way, for every $10 the city spends keeping you safe, healthy, and informed, one of those dollars comes from the federal government, and President Trump says he's willing to take it away.
To lose this money in a way that they would like to see it go away could put more New Yorkers who are already struggling in even more dire circumstances.
The city comptroller reacts to this report that came out of weeks of his staff crunching numbers to see how federal cuts would affect residents of our sanctuary city. For every dollar that the city's Department of Education spends in your child's school and classroom, this is what would be left if the federal money goes. 93 cents. Or there's this. The city's Department of Health runs emergency rooms, mental health facilities, and other health services. For each dollar of its budget, this much is left if the president slashes it. 81 cents. The city already has the largest homeless shelter and family shelter populations ever. For every dollar homeless services spends, this is all that would be left for it with President Trump's proposed slashing. 67 cents. It's even worse for ACS. The Administration for Children's Services has already shown it's strapped with its handling of at least 5 child deaths in 5 months. For each of its dollars budgeted, it would have just 57 cents left under federal cuts. Worst off, Housing Preservation and Development. This agency that helps ensure rents stay as affordable as possible, including through Section 8 housing, would have each of its dollars shrunk to 52 cents. But one of the agencies least affected, police, believe it or not, even though there's a huge city police budget, for every dollar that's available, there'd still be 97 cents left after slashing, according to the comptroller's review. The comptroller's report considers a doomsday scenario, even though he says the absolute worst may not happen.
I don't expect us to lose $7 billion, but I am sounding an alarm that we have to start being strategic about how we approach future budgets.
The comptroller says we've been through this before, citing the 1970s when President Gerald Ford withheld federal funds from the city and the city pulled through. Very slowly but surely. But he says that is nonetheless a model that maybe if we tighten some belts on budgets now, we can get through whatever shortfall ends up for New York City from President Trump. Right now, reporting live from Midtown, I'm James Ford, Pix 11 News.
All right, James, thank you.
All right, let's turn to what's happening outside and what is coming, because look, I know it can't stay as nice as it's been forever.
Well, that's right. I mean, the skies are brightening up. That's good news. MetLife Chrysler, that's good news. Live shot. Some more good news in and around the region. The temps in the mid-50s. I'm asking you to remember this well. The cooling down period, and not pronounced cooling, but cooling down will begin probably on tomorrow, certainly Friday, and as you head into the weekend and into next week. Late next week and into next weekend, some real changes. So it's a couple of scattered showers about for tomorrow, 37. 45 does it, the normal 39. 40 degrees. Watch the sunset late in the day at 5:08. The rest of the weekend, we'll have it later on.
All right, G, thanks.
All right, well, scientists giving the whole world a warning tonight. They have changed the time in the so-called doomsday clock. What they're worried about now.
Yeah, plus parents passed out, the kids in the back seat. I know we've seen this before. Well, now it's happened again. We'll tell you what else police found in the car.
And the fight to save a woman's vital and beloved pet. The latest on who's joining her effort now to keep her therapy pig when we come back.
Environmentalists spy President Trump. Now we take one of them on. A heated must-see Tucker tonight.
It's a new day. A fresh start. Because Time Warner Cable is now Spectrum. Redefining what a cable company can be. Delivering world-class customer service. And bringing 10,000 jobs home to America. Welcome to America's fastest growing TV, internet, and voice provider. Welcome to Spectrum.
Welcome back to Fox and Friends First. A brand new report shedding some new light on former President Obama's legacy and billions of your tax dollars wasted. And the federal study shows that the Obama administration pumped $7 billion into the country's lowest performing schools. But 8 years later, it had no impact on student achievement. The study likely to spark some debate as the Senate considers Education Secretary nominee Betsy DeVos, who is proposing some sweeping changes to education spending. Meantime, Michelle Obama's controversial school lunch program may be on the chopping block. Republican lawmakers are looking to scrap parts of the Healthy Hunger-Free Kids Act of 2010. A 2015 report finding that more than 1 million kids have dropped out of the lunch program since it began. And 48 out of 50 states are having some trouble complying with strict standards. The program has led to student boycotts and higher lunch costs. Abby? Thank you, Heather. Well, a new musical drama on Fox following in Empire's footsteps.
Your mother and I had the same dream. I'm trying to keep you from getting hurt.
I can't get her anymore. You know exactly what I've been through. Star follows the story of 3 talented young singers who navigate the music business on their road to success while unveiling the dark side of the industry. Let's step into the Fox Life with Fox Senior VP Marketing, Michael Tamero, who got the inside scoop on the
Well, a group of scientists thinks that the end of the world could be, well, closer than ever. Scientists set the doomsday clock to 2.5 minutes before the final hour. Now, that clock, mind you, is just symbolic. But it's them saying that disaster is near. Sometimes scientists move the clock closer to midnight. Other times it's farther away. Well, now the clock is the closest to midnight it's been since 1953. That's the year after the U.S. and Soviet Union both tested the hydrogen bomb.
Well, investigators are trying to figure out what started a massive fire at an apartment construction site. It happened in Washington State, but take a look at these flames here. They broke out late last night, massive flames, continuing to burn for hours. Officials say at least 2 nearby apartment complexes had to be evacuated. At one point, part of the structure collapsed under that intense heat. 2 firefighters were treated for non-life-threatening injuries. No other injuries, luckily, were reported there. Well, a Florida couple in custody tonight after they were found passed out in an SUV with 2 young kids in the backseat of the car. It's happened again. A witness spotted the SUV parked at a gas station in this case. He started filming the scene after he noticed the couple slumped over in the front seat with those kids in the back. Security video shows the couple had pulled in hours earlier. When police arrived, they found a stash of drugs inside the car, including meth, heroin, and a syringe.
I was feeling like I kind of took a daughter from her mother, but, you know, that kid is better off anywhere else besides in a car with some junkies nodding off.
Well, both parents now facing charges including child neglect and drug possession. Wow.
Just terrible to see that. Well, for years, Burger King's motto was have it your way. Well, tonight, 2 employees are accused of taking more than just food orders. Cops in New Hampshire have charged the pair with selling drugs through the fast food window. Authorities say buyers would pull up to the speaker and ask if Nasty Boy was working. If he was, they'd order their meal with fries extra crispy. The order would then come with a side of marijuana. The employees were charged with possession and distribution of a controlled substance. And police have made an arrest after that brutal attack on a Manhattan tailor. 53-year-old John Franklin has been arrested and charged with attempted murder and robbery. Police say that's the guy you see in the video here. The victim, 70